Had rough experiences with that.
Yeah, no, this is fine. I mean, you just gotta put like the pricing and stuff. Also,
This is for yells now. Thanks. Hi, you're welcome. You guys are also good being here. Nice fight.
Nicole, how we doing? What's up? Dude, I kind of need it. Sorry. Here, you want a marker?
Like this small one?
Sure.
Yeah.
Actually,
That's what I'm saying. Not the SGA. Don't forget it. Bro,
That would be funnier.
He's out of it. I'm not
She's going through what we've been talking about.
You the icon. Yes.
I slept there, so.
Were you not afraid?
Becker. There's a little bit of
I'm just going to go ahead. Yeah.
That's a little bit of
All right, folks, we're going to go ahead and get started. There's a lot of people here who aren't senators, so I just want to briefly explain what's about to occur before we begin. We're going to run through the agenda as presented on here before we get into new business. If you're here for being appointed for something, it might take a little while, so bear with us, but you should be out of here before 8:30 latest. If you need to leave or if you don't want to sit here for this, you could leave now, but you should absolutely be back in the room by 7:20 if you're being appointed for anything. Okay, so call to order. The regular weekly meeting of the Senate of the Student Government Association is now in session. This meeting is currently being recorded live. That's another thing. Okay, do I see a motion to approve last week's minutes? Seconded. All in favor? Approved. Let's go right into executive reports. Derek?
hi everyone. So I don't have much to say. We have the State of the Association tomorrow. Please be there. It's in the hop at 6 p.m. There will be Clubhouse. Thank you to JJ for setting that up. In addition, we have a couple people in here tonight talking about health services. So just be attentive and give feedback. Is there any questions for me? Thank you.
Thanks, Derek. Laurel?
Hi everyone. So we did not see any slate proposals this week. We saw several full proposals. That's not fully. I don't know. No, that I actually knew it was, and I forgot to add stuff. No, I can talk through it. So Spanish language debate. It was an expensive cost per person for that trip, but we thought it would add a lot of value to campus, and it's going to take place over the summer in Chile. Role-playing game society, we denied it because it was going to take place after the 4-week rule. Pre-semester allocations can go only toward events that are going to take place during the first 4 weeks of campus. And then Colgate Anglers, that's a new club on campus, which you all approved. And then they came in asking for a lot of equipment. And then we denied 2 of the Model UN proposals, the Washington, D.C. conference and the McGill conference, on account of the fact that we got the impression that they're...
Yeah, they were taking the same students to multiple different conferences, and we really want to weigh the value of the cost per person, and that when it was the same students and they weren't taking novices or new members or other experienced members, we thought that the other 2 trips were excessive.
And Cornell is intended for new members, so we thought that.
Are there any questions about this week's BAC? Gavin?
Just a question, like, so when is your last meeting for request for next semester? Like, when are you approving?
This was our last meeting.
Oh, so, okay.
Any other questions? Okay, thank you.
I just want to say thank you all so much. It's been a pleasure to work with you this year, and I think you all did a really incredible job in your roles. It's been nice to get to know you.
Thank you all. Okay, moving on. David?
Yeah. So we have two organizations coming forward today. So that's Model Arab League and Colgate Christian Athletes. They'll be here to present their club. Yeah, so that's SGA liaison. Once again, thank you. I think Dude's going to do a great job. So.
Awesome. Thanks, David. Okay, do you have anything you want to report for Luke?
Just so everyone knows, hi, I'm Ben. I'm filling in for Luke. Just because Luke's not here doesn't mean that you can just take out your phones and like go on Snapchat. So like, yeah.
Yeah, just to echo that point, we have a visitor here tonight, so let's please be really attentive and not use our phones, particularly for that portion of the evening. Chris?
Alright, this is my last good evening for you guys for the semester. So all I have for you today is the bill for the governance boards coming up today on the agenda. So it is refreshed, it is good, it was done in consultation with Drew. Luke, who is not here, also worked on the bill as well, so hopefully it is adjusted to your liking and it also serves the purpose of kind of adjusting the governance boards for the future. I also want to say thank you for giving me the opportunity to serve as Secretary of Campus Affairs. It's truly been an honor and I'm looking forward to doing it again next semester.
Thanks so much, Chris. Okay, just a few things I want to mention. Luke asked me to re-mention SPW cleanup, mandatory day of community service. It's the only community service we've done or will be doing this whole semester, so we really ask for your attendance. If you're interested in running for speaker next semester, I won't be here in the fall, but I would encourage you to reach out to me. Having served for 2 semesters, I can tell you what didn't work and the things that I think may have worked, but other people tell me don't work. So please reach out to me, email, Facebook, text, doesn't matter. I would just recommend doing that. And then the votes that are going to happen tonight, I hope that they will end up being slate votes. So I just want to put that forward now if you're thinking that we're going to have to vote on a ton of different individual people. As of now, the plan is just to do slate votes unless people want to do otherwise. Okay, so we have a committee report slideshow that we will run through quickly to recap the committee's work this semester, and then we will move right into John, who's going to speak on health services. So we'll do it the same way we normally did, so if the chair of the AAC could come up, please.
Wait, should I just read off the slide, or like I have new things to report also? So.
I want you to do what you think is best.
All right, great. So I guess I'll start with some news first. So last week, I met with the AAB. This is our second last AAB meeting. 2 student proposals were discussed. Firstly, the proposal to introduce SU credit options for underclassmen. That unfortunately was rejected by the faculty. A lot of like different logistical reasons for that was provided. However, the other proposal, which was to get further increased faculty involvement with the syllabus repository. In case you don't know this, there is a syllabus repository in the Colgate library system that like collects old syllabi. So basically there was a proposal to increase faculty participation in that because faculty haven't been really participating in recent years. That was brought up and the faculty were actually like pretty supportive of it. And actually right after the meeting, the geography department uploaded all the syllabi from this semester. So if you want to look at some geography courses, this is the time to do that. But yeah, so those are the 2 new things to report. There's going to be one further AAB meeting and then we're done. But basically a recap of what we did. So we're very pleased this year to have passed a resolution affirming Colgate's dedication to diversifying core legacies. We think that's very important given like recent campus events and given like the experience of minority students in these settings. We've continued to compile lists of professors' office hours and put them on the resources, academic resources page, which has been very helpful to a lot of students. We're currently working with ITS to install additional printers on the Hill. That's still an ongoing dialogue, and we're hoping that they could actually have this done over the summer, so by the time we come back, juniors and seniors will have access to printers down the Hill. Talking about SU options, I guess this is kind of like moot at this point. Allocating additional credits for 4 to 5 day language courses, P credits, and extra labs. That's also an ongoing discussion, and I know the professors, the faculty, they're also having discussions with that external to our work. Investigating the possibility of having a practical life course. That was something that was investigated by some of our members. There was a lot of really great faculty conversation that came out of that. And finally, promoting faculty to teach classes outside. That's still an ongoing project that we're trying to work with BNG, but hopefully a lot of this would come out next semester. So overall, I'm extremely pleased with all the work that we've done, extremely thankful to all of our members. All of you have done a really great job. So thank you so much for making this a really wonderful and meaningful semester. Any questions? Yes, Kate.
For the printer thing, I don't know, like, I just got an email this week that the history department, like, with their own department money, got a printer for history majors. So I don't know, like, if that's another way to look at getting more printers at the Hill or in different spots on campus, like talking to various departments and like.
Yeah, so something that ITS is bringing up in our conversations with them is for SGA to share some of the costs of having a new printer or share some of the costs of maintaining a new printer. I recall that when we got the printer in the Flex Room, which was another SGA initiative that was also something that was brought up, ultimately didn't require SGA funding, but you know, the ITS people were saying we could do something like, you know, splitting the cost and then having like the SGA logo on the printer or something like that. So that's definitely an option that we look into to provide some further incentive for this to actually happen. Any other questions? Yes.
Is the practical life course supposed to be is that the positive psychology course?
Yeah, yeah.
Just out of curiosity, what is inhibitive to faculty teaching courses outside? Like, don't you just go outside?
I mean, yeah, but we want, so the idea was to have things that would encourage faculty to go outside more. So like, one of the things that we thought would be useful was to have a, like, portable blackboards or something available to professors so that, you know, they could have more resources when they're teaching outside. Any other questions? No? Great, thank you very much.
Thanks, Gavin. EAC chairs.
Hi everyone, we're the EAC, which is the External Affairs Committee. So Ryan and I chaired that this semester. Do you want to go through the first one?
Sure. So we worked with Derek's administration to bring trash cans to Broad Street. We met with the dean today, and we'll talk about that a little bit later, but the trash cans are like, apparently they're meeting with the board to like walk around and figure out exactly where they want them, but they're putting 7 in as soon as the ground thaws in the summer, so can look forward to that next semester.
The next one, so today we had a meeting with Dean McLaughlin about recycling in GLO houses on Broad Street, because right now that's not something that's done. And so we have a pretty good plan, and that's going to go into place in the fall. But something that he worried about is like the culture of the houses, and he doesn't think that the culture of like Greek life houses are necessarily conducive to recycling. So we'll be working with Bryce. We'll be working with Bryce and Christina and our other liaison, who's Sophie, to work on that next year in the fall.
But also, what we were going to do this after the meeting, but while we're here, literally no one on this committee is going to be here in the fall because JJ and I are going abroad and people are graduating or moving to the administration. So if there's anybody here who would chair this committee and help like lead through the recycling stuff, like this cannot happen without someone who's probably here right now doing that. So if you want to reach out to me or Jenny about taking over that position, like we would be so appreciative.
Is there anyone who's going to be a senator next year who's here this summer? Anyone? Micah?
Yeah.
We'll talk. And then the other thing, so I've come up here multiple times and talked about international student hosting and how we want all international students to have local hosts in the community. And so we've been working on that this semester and had conversations. Kintaro's been really good about having conversations with the people who run the church downtown, the Dean of International Studies. And so that will be coming within the next year, hopefully. We're like talking about the process of vetting families and professors and getting that established.
And then lastly, a couple months ago, we met with the chief of police to talk about maybe getting amnesty for empty alcohol cans so long as they're crushed. He agreed and sent like a discretionary note to Hamilton officers. So supposedly, if you're walking around Broad Street with a crushed alcohol container, that won't be a problem as long as you throw it away. So like this weekend, please don't litter, crush cans. Yep.
Just regarding this culture of recycling of GLO houses, Jake Bainham and Ethan Black had ideas and concerns, so it might be good to reach out to them regarding it.
Thank you. Any questions?
Anyone else? please talk to us about leading EAC. Like, really, we can't do any of this without someone in the fall.
Thanks, appreciate it. Okay, GAC.
Hey, what's up, everyone? So, great year for the GAC. We've been working a lot on mainly transparency and working to make an actual rules and procedures that we can follow in Senate, like official rules and procedures. So, do you want to start with the first one? Because I love the second one.
Sure. So basically the newsletter, which was Ben's project, for that, just to tell people what's going on in SGA, and that's been run by Kurt, and it's, I think, gone really well as long as everyone's listening in. And hopefully this can be like a project for me next year, and we can keep updating the student body so people can know what's going on, and if they want to get involved somehow, reach out to those kind of positions who can help them.
So we also created the very needed and important position of transparency liaison, right? Which is like, mainly the idea is that, yeah, I'm the transparency liaison. For those of you who don't know. And so, basically, transparency liaison, aka me, I'm tasked with taking care of like the voting records, keeping track of all the eye clickers, laying them out at the beginning of the meeting, right? And I relay them to the SGA webmaster to post on the website. And then we also revised the Senate rules and procedures twice.
You guys all know that?
Yeah, because we found some flaws that could completely like shut down any conversation on bills. So
basically it gives everyone the 1 minute to talk if they're willing.
yeah, so we're giving a lot of room for discussion on like the important matters that we discuss here. And also it's not on here, but it's coming up this meeting is the bill for a new senator training, which is Senator Mack's project, and it's very important. I hope you guys had a chance to look at it. But yeah, it's going to be huge. It's going to help to get these senators a kickstart in the SGA.
And minor, but we are working on the graduation boards. We just have to go get the slip from CLSI. And that's it.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Thanks, GAC. Are there questions? No? Okay. SAC?
Apologies again for not putting anything up here. It's fine. It's fine. We still did things. Next fall, we're getting charging ports in all the academic buildings. 2, we're adding a water fountain specifically in 113 Broad. 3, we helped Raquel earlier this year find a sophist chair for the SGA. Ongoing projects, if you want to pick them up. We're looking to finally get heat lamps on the cruiser stops, especially downtown. And we're still working on a survey for Res Life, and also we're working on a Moodle page that's going to go up that students can interact with the student government as well. So, and I'll put that up there and I can share the minutes as well if anybody has any questions. Also, neither AV or I are going to serve on the SAC next semester. So if you are interested in doing things along those lines, please contact me. I can let you know about the committee. So.
Questions? Okay, thanks, John. And the SOC?
Cool. Yeah, so SOC this SOC this year, we really kind of totally redid the entire committee. In the future, it's going to be Dewey leading it, and so I'm pretty glad that he was there for all of this year because it really has a lot of room to evolve, and Drew's going to help with that, and I think it's going to really make SGA's presence much better among organizations. So yeah, just classic, like, got rid of inefficiencies with getting through SGA, created criteria of club recognition, kind of created sanctions, and next semester we're going to have the actual things that clubs can't do and can do. And then, yeah, we just work pretty closely with administration in order to develop a good system. So I think we did a fair amount this year, so I'm really happy about that. So. Cool.
Questions? Okay, thanks SOC. Appreciate it. Okay, hope you enjoyed that PowerPoint. We're going to move right into new business. Let's please welcome Oh, sorry, I apologize about that. Go ahead.
Yes, the CLC has a couple of things coming up. First of all, Sincerely Seniors, formerly known as the Senior Brunch, is Sunday the 6th. Then over the coming 2 weeks, look out for a couple of study breaks from a bunch of classes, which trying to make sure you also got to the finals. And then by far the most exciting thing is we have a miniature animal petting zoo in the works at some point over the coming weeks. So look out for that. Get very excited. Yeah, that's it.
Any questions for Mark? Thanks, Mark. Sorry about that. Okay, so if we could welcome John and Ashley, they're going to speak briefly about health services and what they're doing, and then I'm sure they will field questions, and we will proceed.
Thank you. Hi, I'm John. I'm really impressed with what you're doing, and it's probably the first time I follow a discussion on a petting zoo and trash. So I'll add that to my resume. I'm working as a consultant with the Dean of the College and Student Health Services to do an external review of student health services here at Colgate. And so we want to take a few minutes of your time tonight to get some quick perceptions of what you feel student health services is like on the Colgate campus. But I'm going to let Ashley introduce herself.
Yeah, I'm Ashley. I'm the program coordinator down at the Shaw Wellness Institute. And I'm here just for this semester and collaborating with John to get some feedback about the student health services, student health center, and how you all feel it's operating, your experiences there, ways that it can be improved.
So you should have two handouts from us. One is a questionnaire that we'd like to walk out of here tonight with, so if you could take time to do that for us, we'd appreciate that. And the second is really just a brief explanation of why I think student health services and having a healthy campus is important to student learning and student success. And we have our email addresses at the bottom, because I know that we're talking about health services, and by nature and design, health services can be confidential and private, and so we wanted to provide you an alternative means of giving us feedback. If you don't want to share publicly tonight your experiences at the health center, you can send those to either Ashley or I, and we'd be happy to receive those privately through email. So let me start by just a show of hands. How many of you in your tenure at Colgate have visited student health services or the satellite office? Okay, so almost everyone. Okay. We want to quickly capture some perceptions. So, as a group, could you describe for us the positive attributes that you would attach to student health services on the Colgate campus? Just, yeah, Ashley's going to take notes for us. Yeah, just.
I'd say like their bedside manner is amazing, and Dr. Miller is like a national hero. Like, just they're super nice people and willing to help you.
What else? Go ahead. Yes.
I've been misdiagnosed like twice at the health center. One time I had pneumonia. It was like in December. I'm positive I'm
I assume that was a negative. We're going to stay on the positive side for right now. So, yes. How about a positive experience?
It's never really fast, so there's always
Okay. Who else? Yes.
I would just really like to commend the health services for their response after the meningitis situation. I think that was like very well taken care of, and we're all very grateful that you all put the effort that you did. So.
Thank you. How about here?
Sorry.
Mine was just like in the waiting area, like it's a like pretty comfortable space, and like there are like the pamphlets and they're like
puzzles.
Yeah, it's nice.
Okay.
Nice.
Yes.
If I've ever needed like documentation to communicate like with a professor or something, they've been really able to like provide that quickly, which has been good.
Any other positive? Yes.
I feel like whenever I need an appointment, they're like pretty prompt about being able to find one for me.
Okay.
I like how close they are, like it's easily walkable.
Yes.
They'll come pick you up too.
They'll come pick you up.
Yeah.
I need to not fill. Yes.
They're really good about filling prescriptions too.
Good about filling prescriptions. Okay. Was there something over here? No. Yes.
I feel like they're really accommodating to however you need to pay, because like I went there and I forgot my insurance card, but I feel like if you went to a real doctor, they'd be like, sorry, we can't help you, but they just let me call it in like an hour later, and it was fine.
Anyone else? How about if we go to the other column? We've got to start there. Okay. How about back here?
Going off the payment thing, I've actually always had a really hard time paying for stuff. You can't pay in cash, right? You can't pay in credit. I had to like bring a check once.
You can't pay with card.
Never mind.
Yes.
The hours for like the satellite clinic in particular, and also down the hill, like make no sense the meeting times they have and like lunch breaks. Like I have a class break really only between their lunch break, and if I'm ever like sick and I have to call, I just can't, like I can't get an appointment. My strep has relapsed 8 times this semester, so that doesn't really work. Yeah.
Okay. How about here? Did you have another?
It was hours.
Hours. Okay.
I feel like the satellite clinic can't really do anything. I don't know, like it's kind of like stuff that every experience I've had there is something like I could have done by myself, like get your temperature taken, or they tell you like go get NyQuil, but you can't even get it there, so it's kind of like more of a hassle to even go there and just have to be told you actually have to go to the real health center.
Okay. You going too fast?
No, I'm not even.
Huh? Okay.
I would recommend adding like mono test capabilities to the satellite clinic, just 'cause I feel like it should be available to students who live up the hill as well, like just as easy.
Also to add on to that strep tests, because I couldn't get one last year, remember?
Oh, really? I was in
Okay. Yes.
I don't know if this is possible, but if there's a way to schedule appointments that isn't over the phone, like online.
What else? Anything else? So let me ask, if you were, you think about the quality of medical care you get at student health services, or interactions with front office staff, or the physical facilities, or just the ease, we talked about making appointments. What do you think the general student perception is? So beyond your own personal experiences, what's the perception of students regarding student health services? Anyone?
Yeah.
I feel like a lot of students feel that the health center cannot accurately diagnose a lot of ailments and feel that they are better seen going to an outside doctor off campus.
Yeah.
I feel like some people think like that there's just being like medicine like thrown at you and like not much thought behind it maybe.
Okay, so not necessarily an appropriate
Or like
diagnosis.
a lot of medicine.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, I've also heard from students that over medication is
For anything in particular, so when you say that, what is for bronchitis? Okay, so like overdiagnosis of bronchitis, potentially. Okay. Anything else? Yeah.
the difficulty for students to get on the medical transport list.
Okay.
I think that like it should be obvious what would let them be on that, but the fact that they have to call their home doctors to then put them in touch with the health services. I feel like if they could just do the diagnosis there and then on the list, it would be easier.
Okay. So streamline procedure instead of having so many calls. Anything else? Any other perceptions? Yeah.
I think this, like people said, the appointments are kind of hard to get, and they're not really like, it's not their fault. It's just like they're not as accommodating to like student schedules. A lot of people think it's just like more worth it to go to urgent care at the actual hospital.
Okay. What about, yeah, sorry.
Building off of that, sometimes I have gotten an appointment and they keep me waiting like half an hour, 45 minutes, and I know they're busy and I know people need what they need, but I also think it'd be good to kind of reduce that inefficiency and wait time if possible.
Okay. Yeah.
I think generally though, students do like this health services, and like majority of students, a large majority do get better and like do like their treatment, and it's not that big of a hassle for most students.
Okay. What about the general perceptions about interactions with the office staff? Yeah.
I think I would say it's overwhelmingly positive. I don't think I know anybody who's been to the health center in a while. So.
Okay. Anything in particular that jumps out or that people tend to say about their interactions with office staff, aside from it being positive? Anything in particular that is positive or negative? Yeah.
I think you're just not really hearing many negatives, so that would
Okay.
make me assume that most people are having a positive experience, because I think they'd be talking about it if it wasn't if it was a negative one.
Yeah.
The candy on the counter is big.
Puzzles too.
Okay.
What, can I ask, would that be if we were talking to international students or LGBT, transgender students, Alana students, would they have a similar experience, you think?
I think I've mentioned this before. I think that a lot of times when you go into health services for multiple illnesses, they talk about sexual history and things like that, and I think it's almost always assumed that your sexual history is heterosexual, which could pose an issue for many students who probably don't feel comfortable sharing that information without being asked.
Yeah.
I've also encountered racial bias. One doctor told me that he's never seen a person of color have mono, and they had mono. Yeah.
I'm sorry that happened. Any other experiences that you've heard of, or any other situations similar biases or potential implicit biases that may have been encountered within student health services? Yeah.
This was a community memorial, so I don't know if that falls under the same.
Sure, I'd be interested in knowing what your experience is there.
I've had like a poorer experience there, but I've also like heard a statement from one of the doctors or one of the people that's just like checking me in that was like somewhat biased, I would say, towards people of color. Yeah, that was just.
Yeah.
On the topic of the Hamilton Hospital,
Okay.
I've heard like somewhat negative things, and I visited there once for a condition, and I thought there was kind of like a lack. I went at a very late hour, so there weren't many people around, but like the person who did see to me, I thought they had a kind of a lack of expertise on what to do. Like I've had this condition before, so I actually like told them what to do for that condition, and they did it.
Okay.
But the fact that I have to tell them what to do, like that's not really good, I think.
Anything else? Yeah.
Yeah, so I was visiting my friend at Community Memorial. It was about like 3 a.m. But he was ready to leave. They just had to take the IV tube out, but they forgot about it for half an hour. Until until I went to go get a nurse and was like, hey, so can you still leave? So yeah, that was pretty great.
Any other, yeah,
So
go
I
ahead.
would be like more negative about like community memorial. But like when I was sick, they had me get tested for mono, and I was literally waiting in the hospital for about 2 hours because like no one was just like there to like get like my blood drawn, or even like I went up and like I asked people, and like everybody's like, yeah, that's gonna happen super soon, and it just didn't. And so like there are a lot, I feel like the most when people talk about community memorial, like, it's just characterized by like a lot of inefficiencies, and it doesn't seem like it's very organized. Like they had my friend who had like a really like busted knee walk like all the way back unassisted to student health center, like from the opposite side of the hospital system.
Okay, thank you. So
would anyone else quickly? Yeah.
I feel like I had a similar experience where I got a strep test at the health center, and then because I wanted like the longer strep test, I then had to go to the hospital and drop it off, but I had to wait about an hour just to drop off my strep test.
Yes.
As a former athlete, one of the concerns among teammates, I think, was that somehow coaches were finding out about things medically that they didn't necessarily want their coaches finding out about. So I don't really know like the dynamics of that relationship, but I think that's something that in the past has been somewhat problematic.
Okay, appreciate that, thank you. In the time we have left, let me ask, if you were charged with making improvements to student health services on campus, what would you recommend to us that, you know, what few things would you recommend that might actually improve? It sounds like as a whole you're fairly satisfied, but what changes would you make to improve services here?
Like improve or like extend the hours, have like it, but for both the satellite and the one all the way back to health, like just have more hours.
Yes.
I think the online appointments kind of system is a really good idea that you talked about. Also, in the situations where there is like bias, I think maybe a report form or something like you could review. You could like send in an anonymous thing online, being like, "Hi, I had a bad experience with this doctor," so that somebody at least gets it and can review that.
Kind of on the idea of like reporting, you could maybe have a report be available anytime you use the health center. Like if you go and you schedule it online, you put in your email, and then you could get an email automatically afterwards and kind of report about how you felt your experience was.
That's a great idea. Any other ideas?
I think I don't know how feasible this would be, but like being able to do blood work at the health center, like the mono and strep testing, like they had me do both those tests in one day, and it just took so much time to like go walk across the street or the parking lot and have to like carry my little bag of like tests.
Yeah.
Yeah, I also don't have these positions, but maybe like increased psychiatric training at the health center. I've like experienced that like there's been like a lapse in like understanding of like medications, like basic questions, like medications that I've been on and things like that. And it's like there's been like a lapse in understanding that I could have received at the counseling center, but like a doctor with prescribing abilities, I felt like there's a lapse in that.
Yeah. Okay. Any other recommendations?
One at the back, yes.
Like more prompt diagnosis. Because once I got a strep test, they made me go to the community memorial, but I feel like they weren't communicating, and they had my diagnosis that I did have strep, and they didn't tell me for like 2 days. So that was sad.
So more, it sounds like more efficient.
Like maybe just like more communication and interaction with students between the two.
Okay. Yeah.
I don't know if this would present any legal or medical issues, but if you were to somehow include students' records as part of their portal that they could access as well, that could be perhaps shared with the hospital and the university, you know, with specific permissions and all that, that might be a way to really increase accessibility and transparency and communication for all parties involved.
Any other recommendations or thoughts? Yes.
I just have a question on like what the student health service relationship with Hamilton Memorial Hospital is.
That is a great question. I actually don't know the answer to that. I'm with Shaw Wellness Institute. I'm here just as a confidential resource. I'm not here representing the student health services particularly. So that is a really good question to ask.
There is no formal relationship. I mean, one might ask because physically where those two entities sit, should there be one? But there is not a formal working relationship. So if you go to urgent care, hospital, I mean, that's totally separate. They don't share their records, and there are positive things related to that, and there are negative things that in terms of transparency or just extending services for students. So those are all things we might want to look at.
Like, do you guys have any sort of like reciprocal or do you guys have like meetings or like any sort of like communications with them?
There are staff that work in student health services that actually also work in urgent care, so there's some transfer there, and Doc Miller, I think, is well known there, and so, you know, there's a positive working relationship. There's just not any formal relationship between the two services. Okay. I want to thank you for your time, especially on your last meeting of the year. If you have other feedback, we'll collect your questionnaires if you've completed those. And if you want to send me any other suggestions or elaborate on anything you've mentioned here, my name and email is at the bottom, as is Ashley. And I just want to thank Derek again, and congratulations on a great year. I'm really impressed with the list of accomplishments. So Thank you very much.
If we just send the forms down the aisle this way, I think, or that way works, whatever's easiest.
Thank you.
Okay, could we have all of the candidates who are here tonight for the BAC please come down to the floor? Thank you.
Oh yeah, also if you haven't done your eye clickers yet, there's a lot right here. So
Okay, thank you all for your participation with that. Hopefully that translates to some meaningful change. If not, I still think the feedback was very helpful, hopefully. So what we have here tonight is the new BAC, or the people that have been selected for next year's BAC. So why don't we just have the candidates who are here on the floor introduce themselves. Don't really need to say much, maybe just give your name, your class year, and if you want to say one sentence or two, you feel free to.
I'm Tommy Ricchio. I'm a sophomore.
I'm Aaron Tanaka, I'm a freshman.
I'm Emma, I'm a freshman. I'm SC, I'm a freshman.
I'm Nick, I'm a sophomore.
I'm a junior. Okay, so obviously I have outlined here what positions they'll be filling. I truthfully don't know too much about the structure of the BAC, so hopefully I'm not putting them on the spot, but if Laurel and Ryan could come down and maybe just speak quickly, and then we'll do any questions for the candidates. Does that make sense, or do you want to do it the other way?
Whatever you want.
Why don't, if you could just provide a little insight on what they'll be doing, and then we can do questions.
Yeah. Alright, so the 4 full academic year positions, pretty intuitive, but they'll be serving a full academic year, and those decisions were made both on their performance in their interviews, but also we took into consideration who's planning on going abroad next fall.
Yeah, and per the BAC's constitution and our own bylaws, we have to maintain full academic year and calendar year positions. So the calendar year will be serving the calendar year and the semester alternatives will be serving their first semester, and then we'll have to reapply again in the next semester to fill in the calendar year fulfillment, so that we have 3 members on each category.
Okay, and then these candidates below are not present tonight. I, for the sake of time, will not be reading their statements, but I will put them up here. Derek, did you object to that? Should I read them? I can. Do you want me to?
No, it's fine.
Okay, so I'll leave them up here, but I will say that I would welcome any questions for the candidates or for Laurel or Ryan. So are there questions? Yeah.
Any sort of involvements, I don't know how to speak today, extracurricular involvements?
We can just go down the line, maybe say a few of the things you're involved in.
Conflict with the BAC.
No, not necessarily, just what are you guys
I'm in Senate, I'm in sidekicks. I have mentor a second grader around town. And I'm in Creek Life, and I did Yes Means Yes this past fall. That's not going on right now.
I'm in debate. I do ultimate as well. I work in the village with Upstate Institute.
I'm the treasurer of Colgate Society, and I'm an SQ track coach. And next year I'm joining the OSS board and step up as president of Colgate Society, and I'm working at the Ryan Center next year.
I'm a member of ASU, African Studies Union, member of Colgate Active Minds, Women in Computer Science, Impulse, and I volunteer at Haven.
I'm a member of the Colgate Solutions. I am a co-leader of the co organization Madison Mentoring, which is similar to Sidekicks in that it's like a mentorship position with students at Madison Central School. I served in the BAC this past semester, and I did research in the geography department.
I was the communications director.
Yeah.
Last year. Thank you. I've been on mock trial for a few years. I'm a part of the Oak Initiative, which is a computing projects on campus, kind of like a governance board, and I work at Computer Services.
Thank you all. Any questions? They will be controlling the student activity fund. Okay, if there's no other questions, we will have the candidates step out, please, just for the vote. And we will have Laurel or someone come and get you afterwards. Thank you. And, well, I shouldn't say congrats yet, but congrats. Okay, are there any questions for Laurel or Ryan? Could you repeat the question?
How many people you have to vote in?
It's everybody that you listed.
Oh, right. So I didn't explain that before, it's going to be a slate vote. Well, I will motion for a slate vote unless people want to do something different. Before we do that, though, any other questions? Do people want to hear more about? Yes.
So we did this whole process last week, so we interviewed people for about 5 or 6 hours. So this was like a larger pool of 30 people that we eventually got down to. This is 9 people. So like they've already been vetted. For, like,
It's just an approval.
Yeah, it's just an approval.
Does anyone have questions about anything, the process, why these people were selected? Gavin?
I have a question. Who's treasurer next year?
Myself and Emmanuel.
Cool. Great. Thank you.
Okay. Do I see any motions?
Motion to vote.
By slate?
By slate.
By slate. Okay, is that seconded? Okay, do I see any other motions? Okay, seeing none, all in favor of Senator Lunt's motion to vote via slate? It passes. Okay, so if you'd like to approve via slate, A. If you would like to reject the slate, B. And if you would like to abstain, C. Nicole, do we have a magic number? 29?
We're at 27.
There's a lot of clickers up here. If you're proxying, grab your proxy's clicker. Obviously your own clicker. Make sure to vote. A for yes, slate, B for no slate, C for abstain.
We're at 28.
Okay, yeah, that's fine.
Cool, yeah.
Because Tommy's not.
Oh yeah, true. Alright, so unanimously they have been approved, yes.
Okay, that's wonderful. So should take a look at these names. If you ever have questions about the BAC, if you want to propose something, these are the people to ask. So when they come back in, we can collect. Hopefully that won't take too long. Thank you, Derek, for that reassurance. What? Can we keep moving? Yes, we can keep moving. If you are here tonight for the cabinet, for next year's cabinet, please come forward. Wait, you want me to go on? Yeah. Okay. So why don't we start with those who are here tonight, and then we can take a look at who isn't here.
I can introduce you.
Yep, go ahead.
Okay, hi everyone. So this is Jenna and my cabinet, or these are the people that are on campus next year.
So we're really excited about these people. They're people we've worked with, haven't worked with, but they've all demonstrated commitment to the roles that they're in. So we'll just have you go down the line and say what position, your name, your thoughts, what position you are, and things that you hope to do for the next year.
Yeah, also we have 2 members of our cabinet are at practice right now, they're on sports teams, but we'll introduce them.
All right, I'm Allie, I'm a junior, I'm on the women's rowing team, and I'm a student athletics liaison. Just increased communication between the athletics department, student government, and student athletes themselves. There's been the one team movement this year to try to get increased support between athletic teams, and yeah, just trying to even out the relevance of all sports teams on campus.
So I'm Bryce Kuhn, I'm a junior here. I'm going to be a Broad Street liaison, or one of the Broad Street liaisons next year. And I'm really looking forward to making Broad Street a safer and more inclusive place for all, I suppose.
I'm Gavin, senator this year, chair of the AAC. So I'm going to be the senior executive advisor next year, kind of a generous role, helping along with a lot of projects. Given my work with the AAC, really interested in helping out with a lot of academic projects, but hoping to do some great work on cabinet next year.
Hi, I'm Lucy Bridey. I'm recording secretary, and I was a senator this past year, and I'm really looking to make sure that the minutes are something that students can access. Like I know we talked about it, a lot of these other schools, people are looking at the minutes, so I think it would be really cool if we had this kind of ability to share what's going on at our meetings with the school community.
Hi, I'm Christina Weiler. I'm the sustainability coordinator, and right now I'm the treasurer of SGA, and I run a recycling system on campus, so I have a ton of experience with recycling, and we're basically looking to increase waste reduction on campus. So that includes introducing a post-consumer compost system in Frank and other dining halls, as well as introducing, as it was mentioned before, more garbage container waste reduction, so increased water hydration stations so people can start using more refillable water bottles instead of just using plastic ones. Tons of other SGA sponsored, making events more sustainable in general.
I'm Kentaro, I'm a sophomore and I'm the International Student Policy Coordinator. I've been working with Jenny over the past couple months on a lot of initiatives, such as the biggest one is pairing a student with a host family in the Hamlet community, but otherwise creating opportunities for students to get their driver's license on campus, and also to have a social forum where international students can communicate with members of the community.
I'm Cecilia, I'm a sophomore. I'm being appointed with Gracie Morgan as webmaster. Gracie has an interview right now, so she can't be here. But we're hoping to work with the, transparency liaison to increase people's interest in SGA, especially because people aren't really running right now, as Hallie knows. So hopefully if they know more about what we do and who we actually are, that would change.
Well, hi, I'm Tony Young Yap. I'm a freshman.
And I'm Alobi, I'm also a freshman.
And we're the Diversity Affairs Coordinators.
I served on ASU Corps last semester. I'm now currently a member. I'm a member of BSU and a member of CSA. So we just hope to promote diversity and inclusion within SGA and within these other groups as well.
Hi, I'm Kate Lofgren. I'm a sophomore. I would be an election commissioner with Coon, but Coon has tennis practice. And we would hope to increase participation among the student body and just make sure that the elections are accessible to everyone.
I'm Dewey, and I'll be the liaison next semester. And I was served on SOC last semester, so in this semester, so just looking to continue my work.
You already voted on him, I don't know.
I thought we were all just introducing. I thought we were all just going around and introducing ourselves. I don't really
Always
know.
looking for a chance.
I was just
always looking for a chance.
It's easy toy to come up here, so I'm just doing what I'm told.
Okay, so now you've got to meet the members of the cabinet that are here and on campus and are able to attend tonight's meeting. But I'm just going to briefly shout out the people that are either abroad or couldn't make it. So the chief of staff is going to be Abby Waxler. Well, why don't you do this? You can go.
Oh, okay.
Sorry.
Yeah, Chief of Staff is Abby. So all the people, they wrote these things, so you can read what she said. Broad Street Liaison with Bryce is Sophie Greyer. who's wonderful. Director of Communications is Kaya, who you've all worked with. He's taking over Kurt's role up there, and then we'll be working with Cecilia and Gracie. Next, Ilias will be working with Kentaro, and Ilias has served in this position in the past, and he's really wonderful. We're really excited about him. The Positive Sexuality Liaison is Kate Bussey, who is involved in the network and Planned Parenthood Club, and she's also wonderful. You all know, you can see Molly, the way she started it was funny. Molly was our parliamentarian last year, and I was actually the speaker, so I was Eli last year, so Molly and I had a really good thing going, and we're excited to be back. So really happy for Molly to work along with Gavin. Doug Whalen is working with Kat Duval. If you know Kat Duval's on a boat right now. She has no internet, but she'll also be serving as Student Life Policy Director. But Doug is great, and he was SAC chair before Jenin was. And those are the rest of the people. So do you have any questions for anyone up here, or any questions for the people that aren't here that we can answer for you? None?
You can ask questions in general to a specific person. You could even use this time to make a suggestion. If you want to say, hey, webmaster, maybe this could work, hey, recording secretary. But if nobody has anything, we can move into a vote. But are there any questions or comments now while you have your cabinet in front of you? Yunhee.
Just out of curiosity, that you're working with giving opportunity for international students to take the driving license test in Colgate. Do you think that can be done by the next academic year, or do you think it needs more time?
Right, so it's been done in the past where we had like individual contractors come to Colgate and students were able to do their practice tests and other like registration material. I met with the Office of International Students today, and they said it's more of a long-term project. I'm not sure if we can get it in place by the next semester, but it's something I'm definitely working on and hoping to work on next year.
Okay, if there's no more questions, we can have the candidates step out. I think that's what we have to do again. So thank you all for being here tonight, and I hope you will not be too anxious out there as you await the results. Okay, are there any questions for Jenny or Jenin before I entertain any motions? Seeing no questions, do I see any motions?
Motion to vote as a slate.
Okay, is that seconded? Okay, it is seconded. Do I see any other motions? Seeing none, all in favor of incoming Vice President Selja's motion to vote via slate on his own cabinet? It is approved. With that, we will enter voting procedure. A, to approve via slate, B, to vote no for the slate, and C, to abstain. Hey Jenny, is Abby watching? Hey Abby.
No, this is closed. She probably is.
How many?
I got it. Thanks for Derek.
A lot of people are outside.
Yeah.
Neither one's here. I mean,
Everybody.
can you have Derek? Can you?
Eli, do you want to know like the results or something?
Do I want?
Yeah.
What?
Do you want to know the results or?
I would love to know the results.
Okay, good. So they are unanimously approved.
Okay, so when they come in, we can clap, and Dewey's going to come down here and relay some important information to me.
Last note, people are happy.
What? Right.
So I guess it's just me. They're both here. They're both here.
Oh, they are?
Yeah.
Well, that's great.
Yeah, I thought they were.
Okay, well, we're going to forget about this for the time being because I don't want to speak on that matter.
Okay.
So we're just going to move right into the club, right?
Yeah.
They're here?
Yeah, I was just like,
okay, well, you don't have to say much. We'll just have them come down and say questions. Okay. All right. Is the Model Arab League here? Sorry, we got to do the Model Arab League first.
Okay.
Yeah. So, I don't mind me, I'm just going to put up your documents, but if you could just speak for, well, you can sit first. Dewey, you can also sit. If you guys want to sit, okay, that's good. Okay. If you can just speak for maybe like a minute about why you want SGA recognition, a minute, 2 minutes, however long you need, and then you'll take any questions from the senators.
Yeah, so I'm Caroline.
And I'm Jake.
And we want to start a club, Colgate Model Arab League. It's very similar to Model UN, so we would be participating in conferences nationally and hopefully internationally in the future, as well as having a club for Arab culture here on campus to promote more inclusion.
So it's like MUN, like Caroline said, but it's specifically dealing with the Arab League. So it's kind of it's a really cool like outlet for the MIS department and like people in Pecan and IR who are really like interested in the Middle East. We also have kind of a lack of an Arab culture club or a space where Arab culture can be like appreciated on campus. And so for funding wise, we really want to work in conjunction with the MIS department in facilitating events like movie screenings of like prominent Arab directors, as well as other dinners, social events on campus. Funding for conferences would be mostly just for transportation, similar to like mock trial and other CSU organizations.
Okay, are there any questions? Senator Gao.
So you mentioned that this is, like you mentioned CSU, so I'm wondering like if you envision yourself being a part of that umbrella group?
Yeah.
Eventually, yeah. We're working with ED right now. Of course, like this is a new club, so it's a slow process, and not a club hasn't really joined the CSU before. But that's something we want to do, yeah.
Sorry, a follow-up question. And since you mentioned like a lot of similarity with MUN, what is like the difference between just joining MUN and then attending those conferences as a MUN delegation?
So Model Arab League is specifically for the Arab League, so it simulates that. So it's a great outlet for MIS majors and, like Jake said earlier, for IR and Pecan.
And it's like ASU, where it's like the similar thing where it specifies on a certain like other international body other than the UN.
So something I recognize as like one of the flaws in Model UN, the club itself, is that they go on very expensive conferences. They go to Boston, they go to Montreal, they go to World MUN, and Model UN has a lot of people on their email list, but very frequently their clubs chooses to send exec board and just a low amount of people in the club, and they take a lot of money for those very few amount of students. How do you envision your club dealing with that, and how can your club reach out to a larger number of students, and can you guarantee that the same few students won't be using BAC funds?
So I hope we can guarantee that. But we're working with the MIS department right now actually in offering, they want to be able to offer CMAL as kind of like accredited class, like a 0.25, 0.5, kind of like a lab situation, which is something that would definitely guarantee like a concrete membership. In regards to expensive trips, we definitely want to try to attend one conference the entire academic year, because being a smaller kind of like league or group, conferences are more spread out, there's less of them. So the closest ones are Boston and DC, and like we're both on mock trial, we know the expenses that go into like a CSU trip, and so keeping that limited, but at the same time keeping a a sustained interest in the club is just what we're really focused on. So not going to the number of tournaments, that's like not our interest. It's more so just having a group of students that are really, really interested in what we're interested in. Yeah.
A follow-up question to that, Model UN does like they do a tryout before their conferences. Do you guys envision doing the same? And if so, will those tryouts only be offered to members, official members of the club, or will they be offered to the whole student body to apply?
Since our club is just starting out, I think we'd like it to be open to everyone. So I'm not envisioning a really like rigorous audition process or anything, because I think we want our club to be really inclusive since it is also part of Arab culture. And so we might have some auditions later on or tryouts, but I think we want to make it a space where everyone's welcome.
Then how will you select the members that go on these trips? What's your plan for selecting those students?
Well, there's definitely, I find that like I'm gonna relate my experience to mock trial because this is what I know. But mock trial is a relatively close-knit team, and most people can go on trips. And most people I envision the culture aspect of the Arab League to be like I have a lot of like participation. But for the actual speaking part of it, I envision it to be kind of probably smaller, like a tighter-knit community. And the people that have expressed interest in the speaking versus the people who have expressed interest in like the culture aspect, we have probably like 20-something people that are interested in just being a part of it, whereas 5 people have like concretely like want to pursue this as like an MUN kind of thing. So like as of right now, I don't see that as being like a problem, I guess. That makes sense.
Out of curiosity, how big is the like CMAL network, I guess, in universities like across the nation, and also like, because obviously it's like high schools, middle schools, like so popular, and like sounds awesome, and I maybe I just like didn't have much experience with it growing up, but is this something that most universities have, like, or lacking from?
A lot of them actually. A lot of the bigger universities do. There are 14, I think, national tournaments that are recognized, and some of them are both high school and collegiate combined. Some are just high school and some are just collegiate, but it's still like it's relatively small, yeah, compared to like MUN.
Yeah.
Sorry, Gal.
Yeah. And so, like, do you know what kind of tournaments you guys are attending? Kind of like the location, proximity, costs.
So the closest one is Boston. Cost-wise, it would just need to be probably. I mean, we haven't really gone into like the intricacy of like the actual like numbers to it, but transportation, hotel costs, whatever. And again, we're only hoping to do one in the entire academic year, just to see and gauge like what the process is like. Like our intention is, of course, not just to take money and have like fun trips. It's really to like create a really nice community that is like kind of lacking on the Colgate campus.
Okay, Senator O.
Can you tell us how many people are actually showing interest in joining football?
So a lot of people in the MIS department especially, on Get Involved, I think we have, without really advertising a lot of it, we already have 11 people who are active members. A lot of the people who are not members on our Get Involved page have expressed interest in kind of being part of the club. What we hope to do is the MIS department right now does a lot of like dinners and culture nights, and we kind of want to alleviate that from them or jointly combine our efforts together. And those events usually do well, but we want to be able to expand that to a greater body. As of right now, without any like networking, we have a decent amount, I think.
Okay, if there's one more question, if not, we can. Yeah. Okay. Senator Down. Last question.
So since you already kind of noted your relationship with the MIST department, do you envision like having support in terms of funding, in terms of like recruiting, any sort of thing, with those departments, with departments like MIST, PCON, those kind of ones?
Yes, we do, and we've been working closely with Professor Natty as well, and so we envision working closely with the MIS department and also with PCON and IR, so getting support from those groups for funding and also for events and for getting a our group members as well.
Just off of that, like, the Arabic department is like one of the most involved departments, and Natty, every time he sees me, he's like, so you're in this club, right? Like, he's like actively trying to recruit me for this club, so there is recruitment happening.
Okay, wonderful. Thank you guys so much for answering those questions. If you could step out, we're just gonna do everything that you've witnessed us do now. So thank you, and we'll get back to you in a second. Let's see. Okay, questions for Dewey or any other SOC members, or did you want to? Well, why don't you first say endorse?
Yeah, we endorsed them just because they filled out the petition, the form, and they've shown that they have like a need for funding, they have sustainability, they have interest, and there is a need for this club on campus. Yeah, without being like Model UN, but there's a need for this club on campus. So, any questions? Yeah.
Can I ask, are any members of the BAC, active members, BAC here?
Hello.
Oh, hi. Do you envision this, like, coming up? Maybe not, they say next year they really want to do one conference, but I know like there's a lot of debate that goes on about Model UN getting funding.
I mean, it's,
But
I think
can I
it's.
say something? Because I don't mean to interrupt, but like that, they can have funding for anything. They're just not here just to go to a conference. You gonna say something? Yeah, like they want funding just to have meetings and to be a club, not just to send just to go to Boston. Like that, just say something.
No, when you're done.
Yeah, that's pretty much what I want to say.
Okay, now if I can, in response to your question, they're trying and probably going to be in line with the CSU. The CSU also gets a $150,000 anonymous donation every year that they'll probably be going for besides BAC. In addition, when we talk about setting the same amount of people, it's usually in line with when there is like a large group, but for something specific like this, we want to make sure, because for the Arabic community it's so small, that even if they are setting the same 11 kids, those are 11 kids who are going to get those outlets in other places. But they'll most likely, I don't think, even if they don't do just one tournament, they're going to be getting dual funding from the CSU, but to even get that CSU funding, they're going to have to go through us first.
Jumping off of that, like what BAC also looks for is like there is a need on campus, and like there are students that want to participate who are in the MIS community and like are also active in like debate. So like this is something that we don't have on campus, and like the BAC would also consider that. So it's like debate can learn to share the funding.
Yeah, so
What's about debate?
If there's,
I just was like just throwing that as an example.
Okay,
Wait,
no need to be personally offended. If there are questions, it's a little too little too late. If there are questions, do take them. If it's just kind of like general sentiments of support, we can move into a caucus if the body is so inclined. But are there questions for Dewey?
Is it a question?
It's a comment.
All right, sure.
So we used to have like an Arab language and culture club, but it is very inactive, so there is no like club for the Arab community on campus. So like this would be great to have because a lot of stuff for Arab students is through the MIS department, and like I feel like a lot of times we put the pressure on them to like bring us together. So like this would be a good opportunity for students to like get involved if they want to, without like MIS like acting as our parents to like bring us closer.
Any questions? No questions. Does anyone move to a caucus?
Yeah.
Sorry, Eli.
Everything's fine. Everything's going to be okay. Are there any more questions for Dewey? Seeing none, do I see any motions? Center
Motion for a 2-minute unmod.
Okay, is that seconded? It is seconded. Do I see any other motions? Micah?
Motion to vote.
Is that seconded? It is seconded. Okay, Dewey, please.
I have a question. Can I vote in this? Because technically I'm a senator.
You know, that's a moral dilemma that I'll let you grapple with.
Choose yourself.
Thanks, Dewey. Okay.
Okay.
So most disruptive is motion to vote, correct? Yeah. Okay. Are there any other motions? Okay. So, yeah.
Motion for a 1-minute unmod.
Okay. Is that seconded? Okay. It's seconded.
Do you
Okay.
have something to say?
Yeah.
But once again, I will say that the motion to vote takes precedence. But if the motion to vote passes and he doesn't get to speak, he does get his 1 minute. Okay?
What?
Yeah, that's
a new caucus.
Yeah. Okay.
Are there any other motions? Seeing none, we'll vote most disruptive to least disruptive. Bear in mind, if you don't feel inclined to vote for the motion to vote, there can be one of the caucuses. Okay, all in favor of motion to vote? Raise them high. Okay, the motion clearly passes. Before we enter voting procedure, Jenna, would you like to speak? You don't have to. You don't want to.
I'll recuse myself.
Okay. All right. So we will now enter voting procedure. A for yes, B for no, and C to abstain. I hope I did that right.
Yeah.
I think that was proper. So please make sure you vote. A for yes, B for no, C for abstain.
Alright, so it is approved.
Okay, great. You can get those numbers back to us later. All right, so can someone run out and let them know Derek's got it? All right, we'll just keep on moving.
Wait, did we find out they were approved?
They were approved. They're good to go. Okay, so we are now going to see Colgate Christian athletes.
Can I make one?
Yeah, Marie.
I just want to remind everyone that these clubs have been vetted by SOC and CLSI, so let's keep the questions to fiscal responsibility and student engagement because the URL wasn't really been said.
Okay, so if the people, or is it just you? Yeah, if you want to come up with that. Okay. Congratulations to the Colgate athletes. Okay. Yep. So in like a minute or two of why you want it to be approved, and then you can take questions.
Hi, I'm Julie Barcel. I'm a senior on the women's basketball team. I'm on the leadership team for Colgate Christian Athletes. We're a group who we have weekly meetings, and all of us agree that this is so important to us because it's so hard to keep your faith when you come to Colgate, but also it can be even harder when you're an athlete. And so we're striving to provide a safe space, and you don't even have to be a varsity athlete to attend. Like we've had all students come. Yeah, I'm part of a leadership team of 6 people, which is important to have that many because we're all under such high demands during our own individual sports. So we made sure to get the range of seasons, so at least one of us can be on top of things when everyone else is in season.
I mean, unless you want to say anything else, otherwise you can just open to questions.
We would like to be recognized as an official group because to receive funding to do off-campus activities. Like this past semester, we went curling in Syracuse, which we thought was really important, just to provide a fun event, like an alternative event for us that was open to everyone, and just to promote team bonding, a chance to bond with our athletic administration too, and just see a different side of people off the court or off the field. Do you have any questions?
When you had your curling event, it was advertised to the whole school, right? But I think I saw.
Yeah, we put posters up everywhere.
Awesome.
Questions? Okay, I think you're all set. Yeah?
Okay.
All right, so if you want to step out, we'll discuss and then we'll let you know. Thank you. Okay, so now we'll hear from Dewey on that.
Yeah, so once again, we've endorsed this club for the reasons it says. They have a great membership, and their events are open to everyone, not just people that there's a need for it on campus, especially because any athlete can join it, not just varsity athletes. So really inclusive, and yeah. So the associate's endorsed them. Any questions?
Questions for Dewey? Okay, I think you're set. Oh, what, did you have a motion to vote? Yes. Is that seconded? Did you have a question?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, sure.
I'm just curious. You mentioned a lot about inclusivity in terms of allowing not just varsity athletes, but do you have to be Christian to be in this? Any other religion can do it? It's just oh, sorry.
Yeah, I mean, all clubs have to have this non-discriminatory clause. It's from Title IX, I believe, or Title IX? Yeah. So, I mean, obviously the focus, it's under the Office of the Chaplain. The focus of the club certainly has to do with religion and Christianity, but they can't exclude members. So if someone who's not of the Christian faith wanted to be a member of the club, they certainly could not turn them away. Derek?
Can I answer that too?
Yeah.
Also, when they did their curling event, there were people from multiple religions included in the event, because it was through the chaplain agency, or not agency, chaplain, and a lot of times when one group does it, they all do it, and there were like people not affiliated who just wanted to curl like crazy.
Other questions? That was a good question. Okay. All right. Thanks, Dewey. Do I see any motions? Well, motion to vote. Is that seconded? Are there any other motions? Seeing none, all in favor, motion to vote. Passes. We'll now enter voting procedure. A for approval, B to not approve, and C to abstain. Okay, great. So someone will let them know. We can congratulate them as well. But for the meantime, can we have the principal authors of this bill come to front of the room, please? Congrats. You're welcome to stay, or feel free to leave if you have to. Yep. No worries. Okay, so mandatory training for new senators. Why don't you all take the lead on this?
Yeah, so I decided to write this bill because I believe that it's very necessary that incoming senators should be trained on the rules and procedures of Senate. Still, like, I'm a junior. I've been involved for 2 semesters, and I'm still like very confused on certain things. So I think it's very necessary. So what happened is, like, we're asking the election commissioner to write a note inside on the petition to notify new senators when they run that this is mandatory, that they need to attend, and if they have an excuse, a valid excuse, they would email the parliamentarian who will be conducting the training on the Sunday before the first Senate meeting of the semester, and we're recommending the parliamentarian to have a training session like written out like a week in advance so that we can optimize like preparation. But yeah.
Yeah, so this is a great way to like get new senators jump started into the SGA, into the Senate, so that they actually know what's going on. Because I know that my first time, and I'm sure all of y'all's first times in Senate, like you had no clue what was going on. So this is a great way to get people involved, get people acquainted with how we run Senate meetings and the SGA in general.
Since it wasn't on this petition, would that mean that the new senators wouldn't have to do this?
So the thing with that is because we're hoping that this will be a thing that will be passed, and that will so I'm trying to have the parliamentarian reach out to like new senators, like first year mostly first year, and also like senators who are first-time senator who are coming in to be trained. Then we email that, and I hope that will be figured out somehow.
Well, it won't necessarily apply for this petition because everyone has to come back for SGA orientation anyways. So that will go on for the first years because that's who this is mostly talking about.
First year, but then there's also like new senators coming in from like senior class as well.
Yeah, but that's SGA orientation. When they're elected, they'll come back for SGA orientation.
Okay.
But this is mainly directed at first-year senators.
So that will be on the petition.
Is this bill friendly?
Yes.
Just one fix the following members of, can we put student government instead of
which
C. The following members of the.
Well, that's not
that's already in.
Yeah.
Really? That's already.
So the italicized is what I added, and that was in the bottom.
We'll have to look into that. We'll have to look.
We could still amend that, couldn't we? Like.
It's true, but then we would need another section. Let's, I don't necessarily think that that's necessary to amend unless people agree. Micah.
Yeah, I just think that this is a really great idea. As a first-time senator this semester, I was definitely not familiar with how things work, and through talking to people and reading things, I kind of learned the ropes. But I think to have a more formal training and actually get people to see this stuff, super helpful. Great bill.
Yeah, so this bill is meant for first-time senator, but it's open for all senators, so whoever wants to be retrained or whatever can come.
Can senators put their phones away, please?
Is it like how long you imagine?
Like how long the training session? It's really depend on the parliamentarian because so here's the thing. We're hoping for the parliamentarian to create a training session, outline it and whatever, and then the next training session, which is a year from that, either the new parliamentarian can use what was constructed, or they can create their own. So it's on their hands to create it.
If open, would this be open to the student body to learn more about what it means to be a senator, or is this just for senators?
So yeah, it's open. It's open for all senators. I mean, any senator who wishes to participate are welcome to attend. But what does the body think? Any student will be.
Sounds like a great idea.
We'll be happy to amend the next year.
Good wording.
The association is all-encompassing. Yes. You are all members of the association.
Just gotta say either way.
Okay, any other questions for the principal authors? Okay, really great work on this. I have high hopes. Are there any motions? Senator Atkins.
Motion to vote.
Is that seconded? It is. Do I see any other motions? Seeing none, all in favor of Senator Atkins' motion to vote? It passes. We will now enter voting procedure. A, to approve the bill, B, to vote no, and C, to abstain. All right, senators, we're almost there. Wonderful. Really great work. Really great work on that. Thank you for the support. Okay, our final bill of the night is the governance board bill, which Chris has worked really hard on. So can we please give our full attention? This is the final bill of the night. And Beth and Luke.
All right, folks. So this is what we have here. Do you guys want me to read it off to you, or
They've all read it.
Huh?
Maybe just highlight, if you could just highlight the differences or the things that you really worked on with Drew or whatnot, that would be really useful, I think.
Sure, and I also want to give a shout out to Eli for helping me format this as well.
Nonsense.
I really sincerely appreciate it.
No.
So we kind of are including a new section into the bylaws, which would be the governance board election procedures. And so you have the role of the elections commissioner would be to open an application portal for these for the students before the end of the preceding academic year, so that current students who are interested in joining the governance boards next year can apply, as well as when first years kind of get online, they can also apply as well, so we wouldn't have to rely on emails for that purpose. And then we have candidate requirements. They have to submit an application. The applications must remain anonymous to the Governance Board Review Committee until appointments have been finalized. I thought that was really important so that we don't have to so that we're not able to see these names, and that since it is such a small committee, we don't extend any biases onto them. And that's a really great form of transparency. I hope that is followed through. And then for the Governance Board Review Committee, it's a new entity that's composed of the President, Vice President, the Secretary of Campus Affairs, the Class Leadership Council Chair, and the Parliamentarian. And so they each, with the exception of the President, have one vote, so there's 4 people, but in the event of a tie, the President would issue the tie-breaking vote. I know people were concerned about kind of checking the Cabinet and checking the President, but that's kind of a way to keep the President in the process, but also kind of push some of the power to other people who are involved in the deliberations. And then the Governance Board Review Committee shall review applications, appoint the best fit candidate to the Governance Board. So this would be taking place during the SGA orientation session. So that also alleviates the problem of people not being involved. But by the time we come back, students should hopefully be in tune into what's going on, and we can review these applications that we received. In the event that the Governance Board does not feel that a person is fit for the committee, or if there just aren't enough applications for a specific committee, the process can be reopened and continue for as long as it needs to be while we continue to search for Governance Board positions.
So yeah, so same as the last iteration, it's like mainly meant to hopefully help these governance boards run more smoothly, take a little ease off of the Secretary of Campus Affairs. So yeah, it's a great way to help get our governance boards back in action and actually meeting, like, and caring about what they do.
Yes.
Okay. Any questions about this version? Uni?
So if it is passed, it's going to be effective right this semester or this semester?
Yeah, it will be effective this semester, and along with that plan, Luke and I are working with Drew to kind of get a letter out, Drew as well as Derek, to get a letter out to the first years. I think it goes up next week on May 4th, I believe, to alert them that the governance board positions is something they can look forward to, as well as to tell them other things about SGA as well. So now, hopefully we'll get more interest from students who are looking to join SGA and possibly fill out these applications before our own orientation period.
Okay, any other questions?
So will candidates for the SAB and AAB still go before the Senate? Or will that be encompassed in this?
It's assumed that it would be encompassed in this, so essentially leave the Senate duties. Yeah.
I really like the idea of keeping things anonymous, because I think that does eliminate a lot of bias that we see sometimes, people like just being in front of us and like we know who they are kind of thing. But I wonder if the Governance Board Review Committee could be like expanded to include like more, I don't know if anyone else, just because like when you think about like all of like President, Vice President, and then Secretary of Campus Affairs was like chosen by President and Vice President, right? And then also is that correct? Oh, no, okay.
Yeah,
We're on it.
Yeah, so essentially there's, me personally, I feel like there's enough checks on here. Essentially you've got the parliamentarian, the CLC chair, as well as the Secretary of Campus Affairs, and technically you just have, in normal deliberations, you just have one person out of the executive committee, which would be the president, which would be the vice president, kind of in the room making those decisions. And the purpose of keeping it small is we ran into the issue, we wanted to involve senators in this process, but would they be meeting before then? No, which would slow down the entire purpose of getting these governance boards off the ground before the commencement of the academic year.
Any last questions?
Any burning questions?
All right. Really great work on this. Spent a lot of time. So thank you. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Okay. Do I see any motions? Yep. Is that seconded? It's seconded. Do I see any other motions?
1 minute on moderated topics.
Okay. Is that seconded? It's seconded. Okay. Do I see any other motions? Okay. As we've already discussed, motion to vote is most disruptive. So all in favor of a motion to vote? Okay, the motion passes. Dewey, did you want to speak?
Yeah, I'm just saying that like there's a huge amount of power that's leaving the Senate and going to a really small group of people, and we should just be aware of what that means, because we were gonna have senators on, there were gonna be senators on, but that's just been taken away. So like it's a process that like is going from like 40 people deciding to 6 people deciding. So I think we should be aware. Let's just think about how much power we're giving away, and like now DZ brought up SAB and AAB, that no longer goes to the Senate. That's just for 6 people to decide now. So it's like in all the governance boards. So like that's a huge amount of power that's now in the hands of 6 people.
Yeah, I'm one of those members, and I would personally be in favor if the SAB and the AAB were not included in these, because the other governance boards, I'm on election, whatever. The other governance boards are not nearly as important as the SAB and the AAB, and arguably those 2 positions are more like impactful than like any position that we hold in this body right now.
Okay, so I have to halt the conversation. That minute was really just intended to be for Dewey since his motion failed.
So someone can motion for a
but the motion vote already passed.
Yeah, but can't we revote it? Doesn't it look like we revote on it?
No. So we're voting now.
I mean, this is why people should pay attention. The motion to vote already happened. You have to vote.
I do wonder why there was no question asked about. Well, I guess there was.
Well, it wasn't a question. I just had to say something.
We've got to vote now. That's why you don't rush to vote.
Anything to be done?
We have to vote now because we moved to vote. Our point of information, our intent in the composition of the committee was to pull from each of the bodies of SGA. So we have the cabinet. I'm serving as the Senate's representative, class council, and the Secretary of Campus Affairs. So we're pulling from each of the bodies, and they all sort of have equal representation in the committee.
Perhaps if I could use my bully pulpit, I would just say that it's clear that the governance board system as it stands has not been working. And so perhaps we give this a try, and if this doesn't work or falters even to an even further extreme, I know that Jenin will be here to change it if needed, and so will Chris. So that would be my recommendation, and with that, we will enter voting procedure. So A for yes, B for no, and C for abstain.
Point of parliamentary procedure.
What?
Thank you, JC. Established debate limits / structured debate / enter caucus is above in order of most least disruptive.
Yeah, we moved that. So I was so confused.
So that's why.
That's why I asked. Okay. Sure. Great. Lovely. Fine. Fine. Yes, that is true. I appreciate you letting me know, and we will follow the rules and procedures. And so for that reason, we will go back and vote on Senator Wilbank's motion for a 1 minute.
We've already passed the motion. That's already passed, though. You can't go back on a motion.
That's true, but I'm trying to correct my error to entertain the motion to vote before the motion to caucus.
I mean, we could.
Okay. Given everything that has just been said, I am going to entertain a whole new slate of motions. So everything that was already motioned is off the table. If you would like to propose a motion now, Senator Gal.
Your motion, 2-minute unmoderated caucus.
Okay. Is that seconded? It's seconded. Do I see any other motions? Okay. Seeing none. All in favor of Senator Gal's motion for a 2-minute unmoderated caucus? It passes. Senator Gao, the floor is yours, or you can give up your time. Go ahead.
Yeah, I'd just like to echo what Jenin said about the importance of at least the SAB and the AAB. I know that, as the chair of the AAC and as a previous representative on the AAB, I know that literally the work that we do on the AAB is more impactful than the work that is actually done in the committee itself. The committee doesn't have a lot of power. We just serve as a kind of link to the AAB, like a generator of ideas for the AAB, and if the Senate were to lose its say in that, right, it would lose its linkage, like the AAC would lose its linkage to the AB, and I think that would be something that would be very harmful for the accomplishment of a lot of change on campus.
It's unmoderated caucus. There's a $1.15 on the clock.
I would just want to ask the authors of this: is there like any evidence that the causal reason that the gov boards don't work is because of the nomination process? Like that. I mean, that I don't know a ton about it, but that just doesn't seem apparent to me.
If you don't mind, the issue is that we don't get these people in as soon as possible because we wait until September. And the issue is, I get it, I know the Senate doesn't want to lose a lot of power, but in this case, since when have we not had to trust other people to do the work that needs to be done? And me personally, especially serving in this role next year, I don't believe that any biases have to be held. And to be quite frank, since they are important, and I don't think they lose that link either, because we're specifically electing the governance board members. Like, you guys elect the AAC chairs and the SAB chairs, but not the actual governance board members. Well, they don't have a specific role here in Senate. So the issue here is to get them in as soon as possible. And I get people are nervous about losing that role. However, I do think by putting the right people in this committee, you do make the right decision. And also, as myself, I emerge from the Senate as well. So does the parliamentarian. So you do have multiple representatives from Senate who are looking in your interests on this committee.
Okay, with that, the caucus has elapsed.
Motion to extend the caucus.
By how many minutes?
By a minute.
By 1 minute. Is that seconded? Okay, do I see any other motions? Seeing none, all in favor of extending the caucus by a minute? It passes. 1 minute on the clock. Go.
Yeah, I mean, I would say, right, like I have implicit bias in this discussion because I am one of those members, but just me personally, I would be able to sleep better at night knowing that the AAB and SAB representatives still went through the process that goes on, because our problem is really with the other boards, like kind of the more like nuanced boards that don't meet and don't really talk, but the members that run for the SAB and the AAB are doing so for a reason, and that more than anything, I honestly think like those members should be elected by the whole body and not just by Senate. That's how far I would take it. I wouldn't trust 6 people to elect members, especially for the SAB.
15 seconds.
Is there time on the clock? We cannot separate this process. We can already barely handle one process. And in addition, this year SAB and AAB has been fantastic. It's not like that every year, and a lot of times the people aren't dedicated, and I don't think that's happening next year, but that doesn't mean it's not fear of coming years. And we need one process.
Okay, the caucus has elapsed. Do I see any motions? Senator Becker.
Motion to vote.
Is that seconded? It's seconded. Do I see any other motions? Seeing none, all in favor of Senator Becker's motion to vote? I need him high. I don't. It doesn't pass. That passes. Okay. All right. We will now enter voting procedure. A, to approve the bill. B, to vote no. C, to abstain. Please vote for you and your proxy. A, yes. B, no. C, abstain.
All right, and it passes.
Okay, great. Good work for those involved. They spent a lot of time. They worked with Drew on this, so if nothing else, they really put a great amount of effort into it. Okay, so that concludes our legislation for this semester. The last thing on the agenda is the Golden Gavel Award. I chatted with members of the leadership about this award as the bylaw requests. The person that we have selected has stepped up when asked, and also at times when they haven't even been asked. They have taken on countless responsibilities that weren't even considered to be roles prior to this year. I will say before I announce the winner that there are many qualified candidates. I would say every freshman senator that's in this room tonight got at least one, if not multiple nominations. But ultimately, we really just, at the end of the day, felt that this person put so much time and commitment into Senate that it would be a shame if they did not receive some sort of recognition. So what I went and I did is I bought a Judge's Gavel-shaped stress relief colorful squeezable toy for $5 on Amazon. And apparently there's a real award. But nonetheless, this one is squishy and fun. So, without further ado, I would like to announce and thank Senator Ben Decker for
You can talk in State of the Association.
But seriously, this Ben, if you want to say, wait, maybe just like 30 seconds.
Like 30 seconds.
Yeah.
Hey,
Just
what's
because
up,
the people
everyone? So, thank you so much. Thank you to everyone who everyone is so great here. I love you all. You all took me in, gave me stuff to do, so much so that I don't do most of my schoolwork, sorry to my professors, I'd rather do Senate. So, thank you so much.
So thank you, Ben. Really though, this has been a really outstanding freshman class, and not just for first year class, but also there are some tremendous new senators in this room as well. And especially after we've talked tonight about how there may be a lack of training and it's not always easy to come in here and know what's going on. I really appreciate the contributions from everyone here, not just Ben. And I wish there was multiple squishy golden gavel awards to give out. But nonetheless, alas, my Amazon account does not have unlimited funds. Okay, a couple quick announcements. Obviously, State of the Association is tomorrow. It's at 6. For those who had perfect attendance, you'll be getting a box of chocolates, so you can look forward to that. I have this announcement about the EAC, but that's already been harped on, so I don't need to touch on it. Derek, did you want to say something?
Yeah, I just wanted to thank everybody for a fantastic year and for hanging in there. We've had up moments and down moments, and we all did it together. So this is me and Marie's last Senate meeting after 4 years, and I'm going to miss it sometimes.
I just want to say I'll keep it short because I'll bore you all with my terrible political jokes tomorrow. But really thank you for allowing me to serve as speaker for not just this semester but last semester. Hopefully I didn't fail you too bad, and I really appreciate it. So thank you. I really appreciate it. Are there any other announcements? Centers only.
Come to SBW cleanup, damn it.
Yeah.
Guys, please come.
Donuts, munchkins, coffee. Yeah, it's really important. But if everyone could take out their phone, if everyone could take out a phone right now and set an alarm for, I don't know, like 9:30 on Sunday. AM.
Like in the morning.
That's 0 dark 30.
You can go right from that party. What's it called? Something till dawn? I don't know. I can't say it. Okay. Any other announcements? All right. The chair would be in favor of a motion to adjourn. Is that seconded? It is. Is it? All right. Now.
Golden gavel.
Wait, do you guys still practice?
Also, not the real gavel.